Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, Let's Resin recently sent me some of their deep pour resin along with these really cute bookend molds, and we are gonna do a mixed media project today using these. Now, I've been super crazy excited about this. So what we're gonna do first is we are gonna use some YOB Eco Powder and kind of form our background on the book molds. And then also, I have these little molds that I made of some miniature stuff that we're going to cast as well for this piece. So right now, I am just kind of measuring it out. I mean, I'm not doing any actual measurement. I kind of know the viscosity of what this is supposed to feel like when it is kind of like the proper mixture, I guess. So I'm just going to kind of go with it. And then what I'm going to do is for the background, because we are going miniature, okay, we are doing a kind of fantasy mushroom type village, I guess, where you may see gnomes or something like that. Now, for this project, we're not doing gnomes. I have something that I want to do maybe in the next month or so with that, but that's not what we're doing today. But this is something that will kind of go along those lines. Okay, got my kind of mixture where I want it. Now, for the bookend molds, we're going green because I just wanted that basic green background for it, and then we're going to add to it. And then for these other molds, I'm going to do some brown. Now, I'm using J. Diction's Resin Crete pigment for this, and me being me, put some brown in. I don't know, it was clogged. I don't know why. So I went to go put more in and damn near squeezed like half the bottle in there. So I wasn't super sure if this would even cure for me. But it's fine. It'll be fine. See, it was just too light, so I needed to add more. And right here, big oopsie. Yeah. Well, we'll see if that works out. But in the meantime, we're just gonna kind of let that sit and hopefully see if we can start thickening it up. And we're gonna go work on our green. Now, I have little cute froggies that I have done up in this, and for this, I've never actually, well, that's not true. I've cast an eco-type powder once in a 3D mold, but never anything this small. And quite honestly, I haven't even used these molds yet, so I really don't know if they're gonna work. I don't even know if I did them right, if they turned out. Like, I know nothing about them right now, so we're kind of shooting blind here and hoping for the best. But I'm gonna pour them in. I did it about halfway and then kind of shook it and dropped the mold down so that if there's any air bubbles stuck down in the bottom, hopefully they would get, you know, filled up, and that would release all the air and take it to the top. Then we've got these little lizard guys that these molds are a little bit trickier because of the way that it's shaped. So I'm hoping that this turns out okay. All right. I guess we're going to go for the brown. I've got these little, they're tree trunks, like just the bottom part of a tree trunk. So we're going to try that. See what we can get. I don't want to do all of the green for these lizards because I do want to paint them, and I haven't necessarily decided on colors yet. So I'm only going to do half of them green, and then the other half I'm going to do with white. Just because I haven't committed to anything yet on this as far as color goes. So I want to make sure that I can kind of, you know, get it in there. Now, at this point, the mixture is starting to thicken a little bit, and that is where it's fine for the bigger molds because I don't have little itty bitty teeny areas to get into. It's not so fine for these smaller guys, and these ones here are where I start having issues. Now, I think it's going in, unfortunately, not as much as I thought it was. And we'll see that later on demold. I did add just the tiniest bit of water just to kind of thin it out some so that I could get it to kind of go into those holes, because these are itty bitty. I mean itty bitty, like the size of your fingernail, itty bitty. So I just need them to go in here, hopefully. And I'm hoping, honestly, that when I do demold, that I'm not going to have an issue with breakage or anything like that, because like I said, I don't know. I've never done anything this small with this type of medium before. So we're just gonna see how it goes. And as you can see, these holes are so small, I'm making a hell of a mess everywhere. But it's fine. It'll be fine. I'm just trying to kind of smush it all in there and get it to go. All right. Now, this is for the actual bookend molds themselves. I don't need a super thick layer back here. And I could have very easily poured resin and just had resin be my background and still been able to do what I want to do with this part of it. But I really wanted to kind of see what I could do if I mixed and combined all of these elements together. Like if it would work out the way I want it to, if it would work better, if it's worse. You know what I mean? Like I just want to see. And quite honestly, I also kind of wanted that flat appearance that you get from like a eco type powder. You know, it's not shiny, it's not whatever. Now I get, once I pour resin on there, that's going to change everything. But I didn't necessarily want the shine of a mica powder. And honestly, I don't have a green pigment paste in the color that I'm looking for. So I don't know. We're just going to do it and see what happens, and just go from there. All right. Got it poured. I'm trying to make sure that they're about even in depth. Shake it around a little bit. Now, also, I don't know that I would have necessarily gotten this kind of the way the green is, you know, swirling and the different colors and stuff without like actually marbling it. And I'm not the greatest at that yet. So it's just another reason why I want to do this. All right. So I did wait about 2 days before I got to this part. I really wanted to make sure that they were thoroughly hardened and cured, and to give me the best possible results for demolding. Now, these tree trunks, thank God, came out perfect. I'm so glad that I didn't have an issue, since I accidentally put too much of the pigment in there. And now we've got the little frogs. And for the most part, these guys came out okay. Now, there were air bubbles in the majority of the eyeballs, which is unfortunate, but for what we're doing with it, I think we can work around it and kind of make it work. And obviously, there's the overpour, so I will have to kind of clean all of these pieces up for the most part. And onto the little lizards. Now, I didn't have an issue with demold. They're, because of the thickness, because I poured these guys before I thinned down that mixture, there are like some really big air pockets in there that kind of got stuck. So doing something this small, you do want to make sure your mixture is as thin as possible without really compromising the integrity of, you know, the actual powder itself. But the majority of them came out okay and are usable. Now, the mushrooms, on the other hand, even though I thinned it out, most of the big ones came out okay-ish. There are still air bubbles here and there on the tops of it, of some of them. I mean, in nature, stuff isn't going to be perfect anyway. So I guess it's not like a super crazy huge problem, but it is unfortunate, you know? Like I did want them to be perfect as possible. Now, these ones, on the other hand, are even tinier than those other tiny mushrooms. The caps of the ones that turned out came out perfect. I didn't have any issues with any air bubbles. However, that being said, there were a bunch of them that when it poured, they broke out in pieces, like just the stem, and then later on down farther was the the actual like cap of the mushroom itself. So there were several broken ones in there, which, I mean, it is what it is. I honestly don't need them all anyway, so it'll be fine. All right, so now we're just going to clean them off, sand them up a little bit, make sure that they're flat, and just get off all this overpour. Now, tree trunks wasn't a huge issue, and I was pretty much just had to pick off the little bit of overpour there. These lizards gave me a time, though, let me tell you. Because some of it was too thick, and I couldn't necessarily break it off with my fingers, so I thought these little clippers were the way to go, and ended up clipping off legs from most of them that I did. At least most of the green ones anyway. So they're all like 3-legged little guys now, unfortunately. But they'll be fine. They'll be fine. All right, so now's the time we're going to do the background. And at this point, I am just going to get my first layer in as far as the background goes. And I'm going to pop off here, let you guys kind of just watch the process of me doing this and painting up all the mushrooms and the little lizards and frogs and stuff. And then I will be back when we hit that next step.
Lizards sing with voices bright. Life is simple, life's just right. Oh, joyful and where days are long, frogs and lizards sing their song. Happy hearts, they all belong in Mushroom Town where nothing's wrong. Among the cats so red, so round, frogs and lizards all about. Underneath they play and bound, harmony in Mushroom Town. Oh, joyful and where days are long, frogs and lizards sing their song. Happy hearts, they all belong in Mushroom Town where nothing's wrong. Night and day, they laugh and play. In their world, no clouds are gray. Hand in hand, they make their way. Harmony night and every day. Oh, joyful and where days are long, frogs and lizards sing their song. Happy hearts, they all belong. Mushroom Town where nothing's wrong. We'll gather round, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong, together we belong. In every comment bright, you lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer. Blue Elephant Crew, this one's up for you. You make dreams come true with everything you do. Each subscriber's heart playing a vital part. Videos we share, showing how much we care. Likes and shares, they grow. You make the channel glow. Every single view, I owe it all to you. Blue Elephant Crew, this one's up for you. You make dreams come true with everything you do. subscriber's heart, playing a vital part. Videos we share, showing how much we care. Blue Elephant Crew, each subscriber is a photo for you. This one's all for you. Make dreams come true, make dreams come true. With everything you do, everything you do, you do.
In a field of dreams, while flowers grow, colors dance like beams. In the morning glow, butterflies fly free above petals so bright. In this endless sea, they touch the light. Beautiful wildflowers in the field of dreams. Every hour, magic streams. Whispers in the breeze, songs of grace they sing. Nature's harmonies in the warm spring. Dreamers find their way among the fragrant blooms in this bright ballet. Hope pursues beautiful wildflowers in the field of dreams. Every hour, magic streams.
Alright, I'm back. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to pour a very thin layer of resin down. I don't want a thick layer. I need to put a bottom on this, and I know that you're going to be like, but it's not the right way. But you'll see how I'm going to do that here in a bit. But I do need this part done first, because honestly, I had thought about doing it the other way and doing my actual, like, the bottom part of it where the grass is going to be first. I just feel like in the painting process, I'm going to have kind of a harder time if that piece is on there, and I don't want to dislodge it. So we're just going to go ahead, do this one first. I'm just using a little bit of regular Let's Resin epoxy resin for it. I'm not doing deep pour yet because it's not a deep pour. And just going around the edges and everything, making sure that I get all the bubbles. Not that I ever really have a problem with Let's Resin's resin, but, you know, just to make sure. Hitting it with that heat gun to pop anything. And then we're just going to add this last little bit to it. And that's it. We are going to let this cure and kind of wait for the next step to come. Now, I am going to give this a full 24 hours to cure. And that's, you know, typical. Once I'm done for the day, I'm done for the day. I generally don't go back. But yeah, that's about it for this. I did try to make them as even as possible. Okay, so now is the time that I want to kind of make I want to give it more depth. So I had already painted this one tree, I know, but I really wanted it to look like it's standing up closer than that tree in the back. So I decided that I'm going to go over it again with my paint just so that it pops out more and it gives this piece the depth that it's going to need. I usually have a problem with this, so I wanted to make sure that I'm doing things differently than what I have in the past. And I'm going to let that dry. Now, I also have these really cute little rub-on sticker things that I found. I can't remember where. I'll have to look it up. And I decided that I wanted to add a mushroom to each one of them. Again, this is just for depth and just to kind of give it that little bit more. Could I have painted it? Sure, but I just didn't feel like it. So this is the way that we're going. So that's what I'm going to do now. And then I'm going to kind of add on the next little features. I'm going to pop off, but I will be back when I'm ready for that next step.
In the studio, light shining, colors flowing, you're designing, pouring love into your resin, each piece a perfect lesson. Glitters dance in liquid streams, crafting hearts from fading dreams. Molds are set, creativity's call, unique pieces standing tall. You cherish so, art from heart, it starts to glow. Every detail speaks your love, custom crafted from above. Resin cures and time stands still, every piece a heart to fill, creating joy with each new mold, love stories in every fold. So bright, captured stars within the night. Transparent waves of feelings blend, endless wonders never end. Who are the ones you cherish so? Art from heart, it starts to glow. Every detail speaks your love, custom crafted from above. Resin cures and time stands still, every piece a heart to fill, creating joy with each new mold, love stories in every fold.
So I am absolutely loving the way that this is looking so far. Like, I think I've nailed it on the depth part. It's getting there. Loving it, loving it. Now, I contemplated on how to do this probably for like 2 weeks. How I was going to do this standing up so that it wouldn't come out. I initially thought maybe resin, but I'm thinking I'm going to use that eco powder again. So the only way that I could think of doing it is getting some hot glue, because I don't have to worry about it actually sticking to the silicone and ruining it, and making myself like a barricade with hot glue, and then I will pour the eco mixture down, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll work and it won't come out and I won't have any issues. Now, the only thing that I didn't necessarily think of was if it would stick to the actual hot glue itself, if that would cause an issue, if that would cause some kind of cure inhibition or something. Like, I really don't know, because I've never done this before. Any of you that have done something like this, not necessarily with an eco cast, but even with resin, where you've had to like kind of stand your mold up straight, because it's not even a matter of I could lean it. I actually had to stand it up straight like this to get it to stay in there. How do you go about doing it? Because I had thought maybe resin tape or something like that, but it doesn't stick to the mold, so I don't know. But any tips, tricks, suggestions, any of that stuff would be great, because I do have some other ideas brewing in my head that I want to try here coming up soon, and I could really use the, advice on that. Anyway, so now it's time to kind of pour this in, and I apologize for the camera angle, but I really couldn't pour it back because I didn't want it to get onto like the paint, the area that I had painted, and ruin that, because it's raw paint there. It's not been covered with anything. So it's just going to have to be this way. But I did pour it in a little bit at a time, making it as high as I could without going over that hot glue kind of barricade that I made, and just kind of shaking around, kind of slamming it down on the table. Not crazy hard because I don't want to dislodge anything. The only other thing that I was kind of worried about is the fact that I know that this stuff does not stick to resin. So essentially what's going to happen is I'm just going to have this piece kind of floating in there. Like, it'll be up against the mold, but it's not going to connect to that resin that's underneath, which was the other reason why earlier I had said I had talked about, like, maybe doing this part before I poured that layer of resin, because it would have stuck to itself. At least as far as I know, it would have stuck to itself. But I know it's not going to stick to this resin, so now I have to hope that anything I do from this point forward will connect all of the pieces together. And I'm not going to have this piece of green that's kind of just falling off when I demold. Do you know what I mean? Alright, so I pulled the glue off. Came off with no problems whatsoever, thank God. But I'm not liking the way the edge is looking, so I decided that I'm going to add like a little strip of water in here. I thought that would look kind of neat. So I just took some of my ISTOYO UV resin, mixed it in with these little rocks that I have, and I'm going to kind of cure that and leave that set. This way it hides that ugly barrier, and then I can add the water to it. Now, again, this is going to be it has to be done straight up and down type deal, but I'm just going to use UV resin for this part because I think it'll just work better, and go from there. I am loving it so far. Like, absolutely, the more I am doing this, the more I'm loving it. Like, I just can't wait to see the finished piece. I'm super, super excited about it. I think all of these elements are just working really, really well together. And I'm looking forward to creating more pieces, not like this, but like this, if that makes sense. Now, I did, even though I'm kind of spot curing it with my little flashlight, I did stick it under my UV, like my big UV light, for about 5 minutes. However, I did not, when I did it from the top, and I did not do it from the bottom. So we'll deal with that later, when we're talking about the end result and all of the things that happened. But yeah, so now I'm just adding the blue. Now this is the Teexpert colored UV resin that I showed on my last video, and the blue is a beautiful, it's just a gorgeous watercolor. It has that shimmery kind of mica powder look to it, which I think plays well with water and like the sunlight kind of bouncing off of it. So I really believe this is absolutely gorgeous, and the fact that the viscosity of this resin is so thick was great because I didn't have to worry about it running all over the place. All right, now some time for some details and kind of putting this thing together so that we can be done with it. So I have these little flowers, and I thought, you know, they would look kind of cool, like if I had little flowers in here and all of the kind of grassy leaf type stuff that I painted on before, have these kind of popping out in certain places, like if they're flowers. So I thought that would look cool, bring it just that little bit more, you know, closer to you, so adding to that depth in there, and then we're going to start putting our pieces in. Now, here is another issue. I used hot glue. I don't think that was a wise idea. And this is something, again, that when we go to demold, we'll talk a little bit further about. But I did hot glue these pieces. Hindsight, I would have UV resined them. I think that would have been a smarter decision on my part. I don't know. I don't know why. Everything in my head was telling me that I shouldn't be doing the hot glue, but I just didn't listen to myself, and this is what happens when I don't listen to me. I do things wrong. Alright, so while I finish this up, I'm just going to pop off again, and then I will be back when we are ready for the next step.
Lizards sing with voices bright. Life is simple, life's just right. Oh, joyful land where days are long, frogs and lizards sing their song. Happy hearts, they all belong. Mushroom town where nothing's wrong. so red, so round, frogs and lizards all about. Underneath they play and bound. Harmony.
Well, that was a little faster than I thought, but it's fine. Alright, so I mixed up. Now these molds hold, it's either 22.9 ounces or 22.3 ounces of resin each one. Obviously, I've got resin, I've got EcoPore, I've got all these little things in here, so I don't know how much more resin I'm going to need. I mixed up, I think it was like 24 ounces this time. I added just the tiniest bit of Rolio Pearl White for that super sparkle. Another thing I wish I didn't do. And I used my big Let's Resin mixer to mix it. Now I am going along the edges and the bottom just to mix up any resin that may not be mixed up because it doesn't hit the sides. And I'm going to pour. Now, I did not see any striations of the resin not being mixed properly. So as far as I'm concerned, everything should be good. But I am obviously going to have to mix up more resin. Now, I shouldn't have an issue with having to worry about flash current or anything like that because these molds measure at 3.5 inches-ish in depth, and this resin can handle between 2 and 4, so, and it's obviously less than that because I've already got other layers in there. Now I am seeing some bubbles coming up from the flowers and stuff, so I am going to go around and just kind of make sure that I don't have an issue with bubbles getting trapped there. Not that I should, because I really shouldn't. Like this, it's a deep pour resin, so that will give more than enough time for all of the bubbles to just dissipate on their own. But, you know, a helping hand can't hurt, right? All right, so this is the last bit of resin, and I'm just going to fill these up to the top and hit it with a heat gun, and then we are going to let these babies cure for a couple of days. I am super excited about demolding. I can't wait to do it, and, like, you don't even know how much I've been looking forward to this. Like, crazy. Hit it with a heat gun one last time. And then we're going to set these guys off to the side for the next 2 days. Alright, are you ready? I am absolutely heartbroken. Like, heartbroken. I have like this crazy amount of bubbles. There's my frogs fell and I guess got drunk and fell, like the mushrooms fell. The super sparkle like settled to the bottom, and I have these weird striations that make it look like I didn't mix up the resin. And then on top of all of that, like all of that isn't bad enough, I've got this brown leaking, like, through the bottom half of it. So the only thing that I can think of that happened is I've never used that J Diction Resincrete, the brown, or honestly any of the colors really, and put it into resin, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking that the brown from that is what leaked into the bottom of both of these pieces, because it's only the bottom half, and that's where that is. Now, as far as the striations go, I don't know. Like, unless that second batch didn't get mixed up well, and that's what it is, which is, I guess, always a possibility. Maybe I didn't check it enough. But, like, the millions of bubbles and stuff that are in here, I'm not sure. Now, upon demolding this one here, when I touched the bottom, the UV resin wasn't completely cured. So I don't know if it's maybe a combination of just a whole lot of things went wrong. Maybe it's the hot glue that did something, because obviously, and this is why my brain was telling me not to use hot glue, because I want to say this happened to me before, that I used hot glue, and because of the heat that happens when it's curing, the hot glue gets softer and it falls over, which is what happened with the frogs and the tree and the mushrooms and whatnot. So it could be a combination of that. Maybe that UV resin not being completely cured and it had some kind of weird chemical reaction. I don't know. I know that this is not typical for Let's Resin Deep Pour because I have used it before with no such effects whatsoever. I don't know. But anyway, that's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you on Tuesday in the next one. And we're going to do this again, and it's going to turn out right. Love ya. Bye.
It's clear, gives me reason to cheer.